Protagonist Seat, the show where we shit-talk your waifu.
Because your waifu is garbage.
Anyway, that's Ian.
And the other person speaking is Alex.
And we are a podcast.
Yes, listening to this audio format indicates that you are ingesting a podcast.
Well, it's got video too. You know, there's some JPEGs on the screen, but hey,
true.
It gets a little crazier.
That's
Sometimes
true.
some
some PNGs.
NG images.
We got some fucking bitmaps up in here.
Yeah.
Throw up some some PCIe. No, that's an input port and a motherboard.
I crammed a PDF in there somehow.
I
crammed a PDF in a video.
Throw in some vector images so we can scale them to whatever size we want.
And speaking of whatever size we want, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, the fish can shrink. It can shrink people.
I was waiting for you to segue to that one. I wanted to see where that was going to go.
No, yeah, I had something.
Yes, Killer Crush. It teleports.
I think I guess it's named after a band called Clash, so it's like
it's
Clash, but they can't say the L. Clash. Yeah, we get the gayest duo trying to kill Narancia and Giorno.
Yeah, and they, for a little bit, they do a pretty good job. And
yeah, it looks like they're actually going to do it. Well, classic JoJo fashion, it's a dire situation for Giorno and Narancia, and the other three are fucking around outside.
Yeah, they're just like, see, Moody Blues can't go any further back, so that means the enemy stand must teleport. Thank you, Abakio. You figured out something we learned in the first, 10 minutes of last episode.
Yeah.
You are so far behind, it should be embarrassing.
And Narancia and Giorno kind of silently almost figure things out together, where he shoots Giorno with a little bomber, but because of the carbon dioxide, he's actually able to track where Giorno teleports to.
Yes, and everything has to be narrated by our villains, because our hero speaks the exact opposite. And, well, Giorno has a shark chomping onto his neck, so...
Yeah, and JoJo always assumes that the Watcher is dumb, so that's why it's just like, he used this in order to track him. That's why he's using that ability. He's also tracking me because the same thing happened to me.
I will say, sometimes it is a little esoteric. He's using the carbon dioxide left from the bullet wounds in Giorno's chest to track him down into the sewers. Giorno wasn't shot by accident.
Yeah.
And there's actually a couple good moments in the series, because for basically the vast majority of the episode, Narancia is affected by talking heads.
Yeah,
which means he says the opposite of what he means. So there are a couple moments where he says, Giorno, I didn't mean to shoot you, or I found you. Yeah. And one of the bad guys is like, haha, we got him, they're on the ropes.
That was a good one, where the guy who has talking heads is saying, he's like, wait, he shouldn't have been able to say that.
He's still affected. That means he did mean to shoot him. Giorno moved into the way on purpose. And then they're like, whoa! Because every stand battle comes down to a battle of information, where someone just one-ups each other and is like, but you didn't know this!
Yeah, Giorno basically tells Narancia, stop going after the stand, go after its user.
Which makes sense, because the stand can teleport.
Yeah.
He also leaves behind a ladybug button, because I guess he has those. He just keeps making new ones.
Well, those are the buttons on his clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have no buttons by the time we're halfway through this series.
Nah, because Golden Experience just makes new shit all the time.
So he just makes new buttons.
But yeah, the way he basically solves the whole thing is the two assassins decide to try to escape into the crowd, with Narancia trying to track them. And this scene I found kind of weird, where the way that... So Narancia's walking through, he's like, I found you! And then they're freaking out oh, he's found us. No, because of talking heads, he says the opposite of what he means, meaning he hasn't found us.
So you just need to calm the fuck down, because if your laborer gets any more If your breathing gets any more labored, he's gonna find us, so just chill out.
But then they freak out realizing he cut out his own tongue.
The line of thinking for this is exactly what I would expect of Narancia, because it's just so out there, where he's like, instead of using the labored breathing of someone who is shot and is trying to keep calm, I will cut out my own tongue to freak out the stand user who is affecting my tongue.
Yeah.
Which, I'm going to be fully honest right here. If I was on the street and I saw a man cut out his own tongue...
That's what I was going to say. Where only they are shocked that a guy's walking around with a tongue on a knife?
Yeah, because it's not... Because other people can't see stands. That's fine. That's a real tongue and a real knife. That is a thing he just did on the street.
And his mouth was actually bleeding. So you'd be like, hey, is something up with that guy?
That dude's mouth is bleeding. Holy shit, he cut out his own tongue with that knife. Oh my god.
But he replaced it with the ladybug button, which, because it's golden experience, formed a new tongue.
Because I guess he can do that from extreme distances now without really knowing what
he
his
can do whatever
is.
the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Golden experience is like the Swiss Army knife of stands.
Pretty much. But basically it works because he was like, I was tracking the person who would be most shocked after I cut out my tongue, which is you two, the two men who most obviously stand out from this crowd of normal-looking people.
Yeah, you two, the most metrosexual-looking people here. You must be JoJo villains.
The people who are wearing white tight suits versus me, someone who's wearing basically like a halter top, and everyone else is just like in clothes, like a normal person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could defeat any JoJo villain that was trying to hide in a crowd.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we don't know who the stand user is. Is it the guy with the green mohawk and the crop top?
That dude looks like a freaking banana, so it's probably him.
And he also looks like a bodybuilder for some reason.
Yeah, he's like 9 feet tall. He's absolutely ripped and just wearing the tightest clothes. It's probably that guy.
Yeah, he's got a million holes in his like shirt and jeans.
That's how I knew the man in the white suit in the previous episode was not a stand user. He was dressed a little eccentrically, but like he was still just a dude in a suit.
Mm-hmm. I think like Kira is one of like the least crazy dressed like bad guys I can think of. Where he's just a guy. Again, he's a guy in a suit. Like he's got a stylized suit, but still, he's a guy in a suit.
It's still just a suit. But that's how he defeats him.
And then Narancia just fills him full of bullet holes, and then everyone freaks out because they notice these two guys just drop dead.
In puddles of blood in the street. And also Giorno appears.
Yeah, even though he was brought to the canal.
Yeah, but now he's on top, so everything is fine.
I don't know why he had him brought back. I guess if he was bringing Clash back.
Yeah, I think he was trying to bring Clash back fast enough, and he just failed. And I guess...
Well, like, why would he bring Giorno with him, though, and not just leave him down there?
Now that I think about it, I thought he mentioned that he was going to leave Giorno in the sewers and then bring Clash back.
Yeah, but then...
I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Is stand stuff. Stands.
And then
stands.
They realize they can now leave the city because they were probably since it's only been like, I guess apparently 4 minutes.
It's been 5 minutes since the last attack.
Yeah, so they're like, there's probably not another assassin that can get there fast enough before we can escape.
Unless they're putting a lot of faith in the fact that there's probably not more than one group of elite guards in this city.
I want to know why those two were in the boss's elite guard.
Yeah.
Especially Talking Heads. That is not a, hey, this guy's the best of the best sort of stand.
Talking Heads is like, he's got to be like the whole horse. Because think about it. You can't take someone out with that stand power.
That's good that guy sacrificed himself first, because it would have been like, all right, we just lost the teleporting shark. Don't worry, I will beat him with my stand that makes people say the opposite things.
I'll make him say the opposite things so that he'll tell his allies, I'm the good guy, and he was actually the bad guy
He'll
the
be
whole
like,
time.
Don't shoot him. Don't shoot him.
Shoot me instead. And then they'll do it, and they'll beat him. And that's how I'll become the greatest hero.
But yeah, next time is Notorious Big.
Oh?
Yeah.
Cool. I am excited. I like JoJo. I like the new ED.
Yeah, come on, JoJo. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go to talking about Rising of the Shield Hero.
I like this show a lot.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly enjoy it.
I also do. Catastrophe strikes. And
the wave happens.
Yeah, the
again.
wave hits.
Yeah.
Because it's gotta. There's a couple of them.
But he's got a party this time.
Yeah, he adds those jobbers to his party to kind of job, but also not job.
They fight the trash for him, and turns out this old lady he helped when he was helping those sick people is a monk, and she can, like, kung fu the shit out of these things.
The dude who he had Philo bring to the village and then power up the medicine that dude gave to his grandma. Turns out grandma used to be a badass adventurer. So I really hope she joins the party because I really like her, but something tells me she's not gonna.
No.
She's an old lady.
Yeah, this is only waifus getting to the party.
Only waifus. We got small magician waifu, who I really don't think has said any words.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
There is actually, that might be a man.
No, I'm talking about his main party, like Philo and Raftalia.
Oh, you mean people who have names?
Yeah.
Those insignificant things that don't matter.
But yeah, they then after go to join the rest of the heroes because they're like, man, they're taking a while.
Yeah, I wish these dudes would just hurry up and fucking kill the end boss so the monsters would stop.
And then he goes, and they're all on this flying pirate ship, except Boga's just shooting at it, and Ren is fighting the pirate captain who keeps coming back to life, and Motoyasu's fighting the kraken tentacles on it.
It is a Hydra.
Yeah, Hydra. And they're all doing different shit.
Yeah, everyone's doing their own thing, which means that nothing is getting done. And now Fumi shows up and is like, of course nothing's fucking getting done. Everyone's doing their own thing. Guys. And they're like, shut up, shield hero,
and
fuck you.
And he's like, okay, Raftalia cast light. And then she does, and he's like, okay, the enemy was in the shadows all along.
Hey, I've figured out our problem instantaneously.
And then the rest of them are like, cool, now let's attack it. Oh man, our attacks are doing nothing.
This enemy is real hard. So now Fumi is like, I gotta do it. I gotta take the hit. I gotta activate the...
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Raftalia, I gotta activate the rage shield. No, don't activate the rage shield. Shield Sama. No, I gotta activate the rage shield.
Crawling in my skin.
And then he does, and he gets kind of edgy, but then we learn that the dragon affects the rage shield.
Turns out the dragon's edgy.
The dragon's edge overpowered his own edge.
And then Spirit Raftalia held his hand, and he was fine.
Because that's what she needs to do to help him in rage mode. Just hold his hand.
Then his shield leveled up, and then he got an ability called Iron Maiden, which is...
He got an ability to combine shields.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest shit ever.
And, yeah, so he uses his shield prison on the thing that he used on Motoyasu before, and then he lifts it into the sky with his new ability, Iron Maiden, which is an Iron Maiden. So it's
a giant Iron Maiden,
and then it gets
made me real happy.
Impaled by a bunch of spikes from inside of it, and then the rest of them are all watching it like, man, that's OP. That's probably like a hack or something.
You're a hack. And then he's like, guys, this for the last time, this is not a game. People will die if you fuck this up.
And then I also, none of them I don't think have any abilities, because I think they he puts everything he finds into his shield. Where I think they probably just go, like, alright, what's the power build for this?
Yeah.
I'm only gonna do that.
They strike me as, like, this is the build I went with in the game, and it was great.
I'm going with just this optimized one where I only pick one, like, narrow path of talents.
The one we've seen the most variation on is probably Motoyasu, but that's only because he actually fought Naofumi, so we got to see his different abilities.
Yeah, and he only used one.
And maybe the rest are just fucking, they suck. Maybe they're idiots.
And then they're starting to realize they suck, because after he does that, he basically beats the boss, and they're all like, oh, cool.
He one-shots the boss. And then everyone's like, oh.
The shield guy beat the boss. The tank.
That feels bad, man.
And then the new bad guy shows up.
Hold
Glass.
on. First, everyone freaks out because the second version of the boss they just fought shows up again.
I think it's the same one, actually, because it comes through the floor.
Yeah,
it
that's
flies
true.
up through the floor of the ship, and then a bunch of spikes come out of nowhere and just kill it instantly.
Yeah, and then the end boss
yeah.
shows up and is like, hey, guys.
And it's this Japanese-looking woman with a fan, and her name's Glass. And she's like, are you guys really the heroes? Only one of you seems worthy of being called a hero.
And she points at Motoyasu.
Yeah, no. No.
I would have actually been salty about that.
Yeah, I would have been like, were you even fucking watching? No, she points at Narufumi.
Not you two, bad guy. Not you two.
And she's like, what's your name? And he's like, you're supposed to give your name. And she's like, it's Glass. And then he's like,
now what's your name?
Narufumi.
You got me, end boss. I didn't think you would see through my clever ruse.
And she's like, all right, well, I'm the enemy of the heroes.
Yeah, you can think of me as the enemy. I know I just killed that other enemy, but I'm the real enemy.
And they're like, okay, guess we got a fighter next week.
Next week on The Rising of the Shield Hero. Will
Motoyasu ever get a chance to do anything not stupid?
Will Motoyasu's junk recover?
Will Raftalia escape the daughter zone?
Will Rem ever find true love?
Dun 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 Rising of the Shield Hero. Dun dun dun.
And that's what this show would be like if it came out in DBZ era.
If it was like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, that would be great, except not, because this is great. Kind of like The Promised Neverland. Holy shit, stuff goes down.
Ray got out-fucking-played by Norman again from beyond.
Ray got outplayed by someone we're led to believe is dead.
Yeah.
Norman is playing 5,000 D chess. He's in it. He's done. Turns out, everyone knows. Everyone knows the situation.
Yeah.
All of them.
And Ray was planning... where the last episode ended off, Ray and Emma realized both of them have actually been scheming the whole time. But Ray's plan was not to escape ever. Ray actually planned on burning the house down.
Ray's whole plan every time was to light himself on fire and burn down the house as a distraction.
I really like that scene too, because he's going on like a crazed rant about how like it's his like sort of rebellion against the whole system, where a meal they've been waiting 12 years for, he's about to like ruin for them. It's
pretty good. And then Emma's like, Ray, you can't be doing that. Cut to Mom. And Isabella in the office.
Having a nice evening, and then all of a sudden she hears, Ray! And then she runs down the hall and sees the entire dining room is just engulfed in flames, Emma just lying on the ground, banging her fists against the floor.
And she's like, Mom, Ray's in there. And Mom is like, holy shit, I gotta save his brain.
Yeah, maybe I could get the brain. And then part of me's thinking, would you really be able to get anything out of that? I feel like if it's gonna burn the rest of you, the brain is just like a fleshy, or not even, it's just like a soggy sponge of just blood.
It's gonna boil the liquid inside your head and just completely roast your brain inside your skull.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna salvage anything from that.
No.
Especially with how, like, intense that fire was.
It was pretty big.
And then, she's freaking out and tells like Dawn and Gilda to like get all the kids outside, and then after she tells Emma to like get out, and then she looks and Emma's gone, and then she realizes
she looks at her watch, her tracking thing,
and Emma's
and
in the
sees
bathroom.
that Emma's in the bathroom, and then she goes to the bathroom,
And
but
then
Emma's not in the bathroom.
And then there's this metal as fuck scene where she reaches down and picks up an ear.
Yeah!
Emma and Ray cut their own fucking ears off.
Yeah! I was hype as shit about this. It was great. And we get a scene. We get to see all the kids running because it turns out everyone was super prepared the whole time.
And you find out, they kind of do like where Emma's explaining to Ray Norman's plan, that Norman knew, because he found the kerosene that Ray was going to use to like light himself on fire, that Ray was going to kill himself, and then it shows another scene where Emma and Norman were talking, and Emma said, hey, I think we should let some of the other kids know.
And he's like, that's pretty risky. And she's like, yeah, but should we do it? And he's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, basically she was saying like, hey, I don't think we're not giving the other kids enough credit. And they show back as far as like when Sister Crone was talking to Emma and Norman, Dawn and Gilda were outside with all the other kids and they were listening in.
Yeah, I thought this was cool as shit because it added more context to that scene where at first it's just like they're trying to see how far they can go with Sister Crone. I don't think that was the plan the whole time. The whole plan was just to get Sister Crone to admit that all this stuff was going on so the kids outside would hear it. 5,000 D chess.
And then that time in between Norman getting shipped out and now, it looked like Ray and Emma were all depressed, but Emma was actually giving orders to everybody secretly. And she was actually moving all the pieces around while acting like she was just depressed and didn't care about anything.
Because she knew that Mom was going to be looking at the two of them very closely. But while she's looking at them, she's not looking at the other kids.
And she had Dawn and Gilda take care of the training while she was injured.
Man, this shit is great. It's just great.
And then everyone's now pumping, and they like hid supplies, so now they're pumping it into overdrive. Everyone's getting their like stuff together.
You won't catch me once I shift into maximum overdrive.
And Isabella's outside watching the house burn, and then she's like, it's gone. It's all gone. She looks at her tracker, though. She's like, or the ear in her hand. She's like, but at least they're alive. And then she starts maniacally laughing.
Yeah, Isabella goes a little crazy.
And then you think, oh, well, everyone's going to work their way and escape. And then Phil.
We get a little bit where Ray is like, hold on. Is this really everybody? And then we get to see Phil cuddling up to Isabella.
And it's like, what are you doing, motherfucker?
Phil, you were the cutest boy up until now. Why did you have to go do this? Why did you have to do that?
And I know in the next episode they're going to like do a risky rescue of him.
Yeah. I'm hype as shit. Because we know that Mom is a super black belt kung fu master. Shit's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Good shit always. This was like this whole episode was just one of those all according to plan episodes.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me of the television show Leverage, where no matter what happens during a mission, because it's about a group of thieves who do thieving stuff, but they do it in the name of good to help people.
Yeah, I don't watch regular TV, so go ahead and explain it to me.
They go after the bad folks for people. So someone will be like, yo, this billionaire, he stole my technology idea. Nate, you're the mastermind. You gotta get me recompense. And Nate'll be like, I have my own personal problems, but I will do this. And he'll take his team of misfit thieves and they'll do it. And at the end, there's always some like
the big reveal thing.
Yeah, the big bullshit turn where even though we've been watching the heist the whole time,
it was like secretly what you were seeing was not what was happening.
There was more behind the scenes because I, Nate, am the mastermind. That's basically this. That was this episode.
That was that.
It's great. Much like Kaguya-sama. Kaguya-sama.
Kaguya.
Love is war. Love is war. Love is war.
Part A. Higisaka. I forget how to pronounce her name.
Her butler.
Higasaki. Yeah,
her
the
maid.
The maid girl just wants to take a bath, but Kaguya doesn't understand Twitter.
It also has the best title ever because it's like, I Shigikata or whatever her name is wants to get wet, and I was like, hold on, show. This is not that kind of anime. This is not.
It's not that kind of anime.
It's not that kind of anime.
It's not a kind of anime. It's not a habo.
Turns out she just needs to take a relaxing bath because, as one would figure,
her job is stressful.
Her job is so stressful.
And Kaguya keeps busting in, going like, I don't know how Twitter works. I got banned from Twitter.
I also think it's funny how the maid can literally reserve the whole, like, bath section of the house.
She brings a lawn chair in.
She throws a lawn chair into the tub and has, like, 2 big containers of bubble bath or bath salts and just dumps them in and puts her little wireless speakers on the tub and just gets down to relax.
And then each time just douche.
I need the president. I like the president, but I can't tell the president that I like him.
And basically she's just like, just follow him on Twitter. And she's like, but that would be like me saying I want to know every little detail. And it's like the usual Kaguya.
It's the usual Kaguya. It's the love is war thing where it's like I can't be the first one to say it.
And she doesn't.
She doesn't.
And then that's how that one ends.
This episode had a lot of losses in it.
Yeah. And then the next one, we meet a weird character that only shows up for like this one moment where Chika goes to a ramen shop. And we got a narrated perspective of this like old businessman whose hobby is going to ramen shops.
He is a boring middle manager who is not very rich and not like super exemplary, but boy does he know his ramen. And I loved this one a lot. Because basically this ramen expert goes to this little crappy hole-in-the-wall ramen shop, and he's like, this restaurant is known for their pork rib super ramen, but I go for the lesser-known ramen at the end, the soy sauce pork belly, because I know that that's where their specialty really lies.
And he orders it from the guy, and he's like, how do you want the noodles? And he's like, firm.
Firm. And
then Chika comes in, he's like, oh, a high school girl. She's probably going to get, something like nice and easy. She orders the exact same thing. And he's like, what? Is this one of my people?
How would you like your noodles, miss? Super firm. She is just an average girl. She's jumping on the trends. And then later he's like, the mini ramen technique?
Where apparently you scoop it up in a spoon and you eat it out of the spoon.
Yeah, you get a little bit of everything in your spoon and eat it out of the spoon. And he's like, but she doesn't know that keeping the ramen in the soup broth in the spoon is going to make the ramen expand.
What? That's why she got super firm.
This girl is a monster among the ramen circuit.
But then they realize, wait, but that's the one thing that holds women back. Garlic. So she goes and reaches and takes the garlic, and then they freak out, like, even the guy who works there, like, she's going for the garlic.
I love how in on everything the chef is, because there's a point where she does something, and because this is pre-garlic, he's like, but that's the one thing holding her back. Her being a woman, she would hate garlic. And the chef looks back, and he's like, just wait. And then she gets the garlic, and they both freak out. And then finally, it's time for the broth.
And then they see her just straight up slurp, and they're like, no, it's too salty.
There's too much salt.
And then after he realizes he's like, no, I was wrong about this girl. She's a ramen pro. And as she gets up to walk out, he gives her a thumbs up. He's like, hey. And then she looks at him confused and just kind of gives him an awkward thumbs up back.
Both him and the chef give her a thumbs up.
Oh, I didn't even know the chef does it too.
The chef does it too. She's drinking the broth, and he's like, so reckless. It reminds me of when I was a young man, and I would just go recklessly at ramen.
And it helps him remind him of his youth.
I've gotten so old now. Am I really such an old man? Oh, it's so good.
Ugh.
This is a really good mini arc.
And then the third one, Shirogane and Kaguya both want to see each other.
Let's go down to Downer Town.
Yeah, and they both go to because they're bumming around their whole vacation.
They literally do nothing with their summer vacation.
And then both of them think, maybe if I go to the school, they'll be there.
In a last moment of sheer desperation between these two, they decide to go to school in their uniforms.
And they both slightly miss each other.
Yep. And when Shirogane is running down the hallway and just bam, slams the door open only to see that the desk is empty.
And then,
hit me.
Downer ending.
That hit me a little bit. I was like, you got me, Kaguya-sama. You got me. I didn't know how invested I was in these two people meeting at this one location.
And then it gets even more of a downer when you have the post-credits story.
Oh, man.
Where Kaguya is going to go out and have fun with Chika, her sisters, and Shirogane's sister. But then her dad sends her basically to come.
Summons.
Yeah, he's like, hey, come back home to Kyoto.
Yeah.
And apparently he just has her show up there.
He just does it. Because, I guess.
He's like, oh, good, you're here.
And she sends a text, and I give Chika and Chika's sister mad props.
Because they're like, hey, she can't go. What should we do? Let's postpone it.
We'll postpone it. Because the whole point of this is that we're doing it together. So we'll put it off until she can do it. And I was like, Chika, you best girl, Chika. You best girl.
And we'll get him next time.
We'll get him next time. And basically she goes there and is in formal attire. And I liked her maid got a little bit of characterization on this one.
Where she's like, that's all he wanted. She whispers under her breath when the dad walks away. She's like, drop dead bastard.
Yeah. And then the whole episode, there's a brief flashback that basically highlights just how terribly sheltered Kaguya has been.
Yeah.
She is basically like your stereotypical rich, privileged kid who has just been kept away from society. And
her dad is not a loving parent. He's just there.
He's
not even really there. He's just, hey, yeah, you'll have people to take care of you. I'm the classic indifferent rich father.
Yeah. And the way they do this is really good because they have Kaguya, who has grown up with this, and she's going through the flashbacks, and she's like, I've never been to a festival before, but that's okay. The lights, I can still see the pretty lights from my bedroom window. And I was like, that's what all Japanese people do. That's what anime has taught me.
But don't worry, because next episode's the last one, so we'll be at the festival. Because we have to, because you got to kind of end on a fireworks episode.
Yeah, you need to end with Kaguya getting to experience the fireworks festival, and some stuff is going to happen between them, because it goddamn better will happen between them.
Yeah.
Romance or riot.
Speaking of rich dads.
Yeah, quintessential quintuplets with their spookiest dad.
Yeah.
Dude's intimidating AF, fam.
And
he's not in this episode, by the way.
So last time we left off, Ichika and Futaro were stuck in the shed.
This episode gave me some Ichika points.
Yeah,
I gotta admit. I got some Ichika points.
She's my least favorite, especially reading ahead of the manga. I just don't like where her character arcs and stuff go, or how she develops. But you know what? They did a good job with this one.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, I would be almost okay if my least favorite one.
Yeah.
But then I stop and think about it. I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
No.
Actually, I'd rather her over Itsuki just because I don't like the first girl trope always just winning by that.
Itsuki's kind of boring anyway.
She is boring. That's the problem. She's not insultingly bad or anything. She's just boring.
Because at least Nino has a personality trait.
Yeah, it's not one you particularly like, but
it isn't.
It is one.
It is one. She has one. So I gotta give her points for that. But fuck Nino. Nino's not relevant right now.
Yeah, fuck Nino.
Fuck Nino.
Fuck Nino. I would fuck Nino.
I mean,
No.
I mean, if it was either Nino or no one, I could probably do it. Because, like, they're quintuplets, so they all look the same. They're all hot.
Potatoes are good for you.
Gotta get those spuds.
But they end up stuck in the shed together, and they build up some steamy tension between the two of them.
As Futaro builds a fire, he does the bow drill method to make a fire, which
takes him a while.
As that method does, because he doesn't have any tinder.
Yeah.
He is just straight up doing it into a wooden block.
And Ichika ends up she's trying to, keep calm, be like, yeah, I just got to keep my heart rate down. I don't have any feelings for this guy. And then at one point she almost gets a beam almost falls on her, like a wooden thing.
Because Ichika is clumsy, so she knocks over the one last large wooden block.
And then he catches her or pulls her out of the way in a super manly fashion, and then she's just
and then the pose, man, was like it was
like they were doing a dance.
Yeah, and that part made me laugh because that was hokey as fuck. But she's got
now we got to read super into it.
We gotta read super into it.
It was like a dance, and they were by a bonfire, and they say anyone who dances by the bonfire is Ichika secretly the winner all the way down the line because this happened right now.
Ichika did ask him to dance,
and he did sort of pull her aside, almost like a dance move.
And
Ichika confirmed for being the bride. We figured it out. Don't even bother. When we get to the last chapter of the manga, everyone can come back to this and be like, they were right.
They were right.
That one moment.
There's also a funny moment that I really enjoyed where Futaro's like, if you can disable the burglar alarm, I can kick down the door. Here, get on my shoulders. And she climbs on his shoulders, and she's got his head. This is gonna sound a little odd, but his head's between her thighs. Not in that way. Just simply for support. And he's like, this feeling, it's familiar and wonderful at the same time. And she's like, hey, don't you enjoy my thighs? And I was like, that's good. That's a good line right there.
And then he can't lift her because he's like, you're too heavy.
Yeah, because Futaro is a weak man like me. But then she's talking to him, and then the thing falls, and it cracks a big-ass hole in the door and sets the alarm off.
And then the sprinklers go off, too, and then they get soaked. And then after, that's when Nino and Itsuki show up. Or not Nino, Miku. And
that's when Best Girl and Itsuki show up.
You mean that's when Best Girl and
Miku show up.
Yeah. And they are both kind of soaking wet and kind of on top of each other, and it looks what it looks like.
It's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then the next day, Ichika's sick because, you get wet in Japan and you get a cold.
You get wet in the cold in Japan, and then you get sick.
And then Yotsuba drags Futaro out to go skiing.
He's like, man, I want to go back to sleep because I'm real tired. And then Yotsuba shows up and is like, you thought you were going to get some rest, but we're going to go skiing instead.
And he's like, and then he gets dragged out skiing, and he's just not great at it.
He sucks at it.
And he actually tries to get away from Yotsuba, but then he bumps into Nino.
Of course.
Then the bandage falls off his head that she gave him when he was pretending to be Kintaro.
He's pretending to be the four-armed large cat man from the Mortal Kombat series named Kintaro.
And then after she starts chasing him and Yotsuba's chasing him, and his only option is to duck into an igloo.
Because they're like, we're going to play tag. And since Yotsuba actually knows how to ski, she's going to be it. Which, that's not who I would pick first.
Yeah.
I would probably pick the bad person at skiing first, but that's fine.
No, because then they'll never get anybody.
Yeah, that's true. But he's cornered. He has nowhere to go except an igloo.
And as he rushes in there, Itsuki and Nino basically...
Yotsuba and Nino.
There's a lot of them.
There's fucking 5 of them.
Yotsuba and Nino run into each other, and they're like, hey, she's like, hey, have you seen like a handsome blonde dude? She's like, no. Have you seen Futaro? And she's like, no. And they both just
no.
leave. And then he finds out that Miku is also in there, and she's hiding too.
Because out of anybody, Miku strikes me as the most likely to hide. But then they have a moment.
And they're basically both, they're sitting in there, and
I am sitting in there with my waifu, Miku.
You are in there, but then I liked one of the things he said, where they were talking about, like, you know, what everyone's good at, and how Yotsuba's just too good at, like, physical stuff, and Miku's like, what if we give her, like, a handicap and stuff, make her carry a bunch of stuff, and he's like, I don't want to do that. He's like, all of you earned what you're good at, and that's her thing that she's good at.
So we should let her have the one thing that she's a pro at, and you guys, you all started equal, and we'll keep this fair, or something along those lines. And Miku's like, oh.
He's such a nice guy.
She has that moment where she's like, we're all equal, but that doesn't mean I have to give up the guy, like, I gotta talk to Ichika.
And then she stands up and hits her head on the top of the igloo.
Yeah. And, Futaro kind of chuckles it off, and he's like, ha 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 ha.
And I think that's pretty much where that ends, because he gets out of the igloo after, and then it just cycles through everybody, and like the things tomorrow, the dance.
Miku calls Nino.
Oh, yeah, and then it ends.
Because she's like, I gotta talk to you. There's a couple things in this episode that greatly amused me. In the supply shed, when Futaro catches Ichika, they have this moment where it's like super like pretty drawn and just like it's all nice looking and it's got all kinds of artsy effects, and I was like, oh, so that's where this week's budget went.
Yeah.
And turns out I was wrong. That is only where part of this week's budget went. In the igloo scene,
yeah, Miku and Ichika got the budget.
We get a scene where I thought they did pretty face on Ichika. They turned that shit up to like 15 with Miku in the igloo, and I was like, oh, the artist really is a Miku fan.
I'll give it to that, because the Ichika scene was like in the manga close enough where it looked like nice anyway, because she got like a full page spread for that part where, like, you know, she has like her hand over her heart.
I'd say that's pretty good.
The Miku scene actually didn't like it looked better in this than it did in the manga. Well, obviously it looks better, but like that didn't have sort of the effort put into it that in the manga. I think it was just meant to be a scene that was there.
Yeah.
But whoever makes this one, the director of this, is like, make sure every scene with Miku looks as good as you can make it.
Hey, we still got a couple extra dollars left over in our budget for this one. Let's throw some more art Miku's way. Let's throw a little bit more paint on that face. And it just looks super good. So yeah, we're probably gonna get some little bit of conflict between Ichika and Miku, because both of them are now like, holy shit, I like this guy.
Yeah.
And I want.
Oh, we're gonna get some conflict, all right. Not in this show. We have one episode left, so
yeah. So not during the show, but later in the manga, there's plenty of conflict. Kind of like
domestic girlfriend.
Where just conflict rains from the fucking sky.
It is a slow moving car crash all the time. Everything is just a mess.
All of these characters who are all unbalanced people make poor decisions, and then their poor decisions come back to haunt them.
Yeah, last time we ended with him and Rui sitting in the rain, and him telling her that he liked Hina.
And this episode starts off, they go back home, and Rui is like, I got swept out in the rain, and he came
She
to...
covers.
Yeah, she covers real good.
Yeah, and then the next day she's like, I'm going to start disliking you.
Yeah, I am going to actively dislike you now. And he's like, what? Huh?
She's like, because when you like somebody and you dislike them, then it helps put distance there, so I'm going to do that.
I'm activating my first line of emotional self-defense.
And then English teacher shows up, or not even English. I don't think he's the English teacher. I think Hina's the English teacher, and he's just I don't know, artsy sandals man.
He's the literature teacher,
yeah,
I think.
Literature teacher. I'm used to saying English because that's the same thing for us.
Yeah, that is.
English class and literature. But yeah, he shows up and he's like, hey, so I got the results for like the story contest. Rui won. And then Natsuo is like, I lost and I want to be a novelist.
Rui doesn't even want to be a writer. She doesn't want to be a novelist.
And so he goes to his teacher and asks him to make him his apprentice. And he's like, do you want to write novels, or do you just want the title of being a novelist?
Which I thought was a fucking good line. I was like, oh, that's great.
And then he was like, shit.
This dude's right. This Sensei is wise.
Oh, and he has another nice talk with a book club girl where she's like,
yes.
She's like, I think when it comes to like talent and hard work, people like with talent, you know, they don't have to go through what we have to go through, but that's what makes us better. Like, you know, we have disappointments and stuff.
I thought it made me feel a little bad for book club girl again, because she was like, I'm used to failure at this point, but I use that failure because I think that's what really gives me an edge over the people with talent. And I was like, oh, you poor girl, you poor being.
And then he resolves to write a short story every week and give it to his teacher. And his teacher's like, all right, just so you know, I'm a harsh critic.
Yep. So his teacher is still kind of like his mentor, yeah. But he's not like full on accepting that role.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like that development.
And they go on a school trip to Okinawa. Fuck. What?
Fan service ass episode, but yeah, like
they all go to the beach and everyone's having
people
fun,
making poor ass decisions in this part.
And then there's fireworks, and Natsuo runs off to Hina's apartment or like hotel room.
It's the final day, and he comes across some cheap ass like hotel lobby jewelry, and he's like, "I need to buy this for Hina Sensei."
And then he does, and then he goes to her, and she's at first like, "I think we should break up," and he's like, "I reject that idea."
Which is a statement. I took a little bit of issue with that. I was like, you can't just do that. That's not a thing you can just do.
And then he's like, here's my rebuttal, and he gives her a ring, and he's like,
I think we should be super serious instead. And she's like,
the exact opposite.
And she's like, you got me.
And then they bang.
Yeah,
the teacher.
Hot for teacher. And then Hina gets called into the office, and they're like, hey, we got this picture, and in the background, you're making out with a student in your room, so that's a problem.
I'm like, yeah, how could she talk out? What if she's like, don't worry, it's okay, it's just my brother.
Don't worry, it's my brother, it's fine. It's just a thing we do.
Yeah.
You couldn't close the goddamn shades. Really? Couldn't take 3 seconds.
I guess I'm just surprised. Like, maybe they didn't think, like, you know, because that anyone's cell phone pictures are going to pick up that far in the background, that detailed.
To be honest, I was a little surprised at that, because I was like,
oh.
That's a really high-res image.
It made it like the building's that close.
What, did the fucking photography club take that picture?
Even so, it's like...
Took this with my distant DSLR.
You normally can't get the foreground and the background that both, like, perfect.
This is some detail.
You got a 4K camera over there.
Got a 4K DSLR on my cell phone.
Yeah. Fucking weird.
The lesson of this week's episode of Domestic Girlfriend
is no one did anything wrong. Bang your teacher. I support them.
Just make sure you close the blinds.
Close the blinds.
Otherwise, the principal's going to find out, and he's not going to be happy about it.
Oh, we got some great lines, too. Like when he mentions that he saw her masturbating. Saying her ex-boyfriend's name. And then after he's like...
Her rationalization for this is like, well, I couldn't think of you at the time because I didn't know what it was like. So I used the knowledge that I had.
And then he was just like, he's like, yeah, then I went into my room after and I jerked it.
Yeah, it was fine, though, because I went and I jerked it thinking about it.
And he's just, and then after I'm like, that's This is some quality writing right here.
What a weird conversation.
Yeah.
What?
Just what? What?
What? I say what? Boy? Damn it, Bobby, you gotta close the blinds when you wanna fuck your sister, teacher.
Anyway, Bobby, I found this weird magic girl thing in your room. What's with all this anime BDSM?
What is a D-sauce, Bobby? What is that?
And so, the fights happen this episode.
We get fights. Fighting girls.
So, Kurumi starts getting the shit kicked out of her by Chisato.
Because of course she does.
Yeah,
Kurumi's the support character.
You have the healer fighting an assassin, basically.
1-on-1.
And
we got some name bullshit, because Chisato's like, my name's Whiplash, but it's not because I use a whip.
It's
because
actually...
my kicks whip out like one.
Also, it's not even a whip. It's actually a glove. Like, it's a bandage that enhance my... Also, she's like a karate master or whatever.
Apparently, she's like a 7th degree, like, obsidian belt karate master.
This show really likes dropping, like
martial arts.
Yeah, where it's like, he's using the Russian Special Forces martial arts Sistema. Or, like, they're using Krav Maga.
Zloidov Sistema.
We're like, oh, she's using karate. I'll have to counter it with Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
I haven't been spending my time in the JSDF doing nothing. I've been studying Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which does absolutely nothing to help her. She does...
Even though I think realistically it's supposed to be the better martial arts style compared to karate.
Yeah, because you got a lot of grapples and stuff, but then...
I'm pretty sure karate is just counters.
Pretty much. It is a very self-defense oriented style.
Yeah,
you learn karate when you want to defend yourself.
Whereas jiu-jitsu is like grapples.
If you want to be the dedicated grappler character.
But yeah, and then after she starts beating the shit out of her because the jiu-jitsu, it doesn't work.
Her jiu-jitsu is hard countered by the karate powers.
Her karate. And after she knocks her down on the ground, she's like, all right, now I'm going to beat you to death. And
I'm going to beat on you like a sandbag.
And then that triggers her.
Because bullies.
Yeah. And it turns out Kurumi just needs to hit her with a syringe once and she wins. Yeah. Which she does.
She does.
Because, just medicine attack.
It's like... This fight is weird because it has so many moments where you think that Kurumi's gonna come back, but she just doesn't.
And then she just does at the end, just boom.
Because she's like, oh wait, I'm not gonna let people beat on me anymore. And then she comes back. Yeah. But there's like, I know Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And then she continues getting the shit kicked out of her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you because you're a bully. And then she still continues to get the shit kicked out of her. And then she's like, I'm not going to let people defend me anymore. I'm going to defend myself. And then she stabs her with a needle.
And gives the girl like a seizure so she can go and leave and help Asuka.
Yeah.
And then Asuka's fighting
we watch
Alphonse.
We watch a white woman beat up a black child in this episode.
Asuka is Japanese.
So, she looks white. Her skin is white.
She is Japanese. How could you? How could you say that? How could you say that? Ian is off the show.
Exactly. I need to be replaced now.
Ian is going to be replaced with someone with a little more sensitivity training.
How could I possibly think that this character, who doesn't even have blonde hair and blue eyes, but is still drawn in the same style as the American character?
Well, Asuka has blue eyes. She just has like
yeah, she does have blue eyes.
She has like a...
It's almost gray.
She has like a... I wanted to say like a poop gray hairstyle color.
Yeah, because it's like it is like a weird brown gray.
Yeah.
I don't understand what her hair color is or why she has it, but she has it all the time.
And she's fighting this guy, and he's fucking her up.
Yeah, because
she can't figure out his weakness.
So she's like, hey, penguin, or mouse, or cat, or whatever the fuck her fairy is.
Yeah.
Who now has 2 guns, might I mention.
He is dual wielding.
He is going akimbo.
Oh, and she loses her arm in this fight.
Yeah.
But after I saw them, like, well, you get a character
matter.
you get a character that's attached so many limbs so far that it doesn't really matter.
We get a character who invalidates injury, so
Yeah.
you might as well have Giorno in the party at this point.
Deus Ex Karumi.
Yeah, just like, oh, your limbs are off? Let me bandage that right back on.
Yeah, so she loses her arm, but last second her fairy figures out the weaknesses, like the cables on his back or something.
It literally just scans him, and because she's like, there's a low-level magic field coursing over the front, or like there must be magic liquid coursing through his armor. I just need to find the tanks and hit it, which I take slight issue with, because if her blade's not doing anything before, knowing where the tank is, I could imagine wouldn't change that very much. But it does.
And then a bunch of oil sprays everywhere, and then he falls out of his machine.
Hold on. You skipped an important bit, which has one of my favorite lines that Izuka ever has.
Yeah, he shows up. That's what helps him out.
She loses her sword in the mech dude because he's like, cool, you hit my tank. Your sword is still in me. Come grab it with one hand and no weapons.
Yeah, and then Nick Fury shows up and he starts giving suppressing fire.
Nick Fury gets a call, and it's like, the weapon you wanted for the magical girls has arrived. And he's like, I'll see to it that it gets there personally. And they're like, do you really need to do this personally? And he turns around and he's like, of course I do. It would be a shame if we let teenage girls do all the fighting. It would make us look bad. Then he shows up and then gives a weapon to a teenage girl so that she can finish the fight.
And it's the axe from the Russian guy who died a couple of episodes ago.
Yes. I don't know why they had to wait this long. Because I guess they just had it and they were like, we need a plot point.
Well, I'm assuming it was like put into like a special sort of storage because it's a magic weapon, and that's like what terrorists use now.
That's true. Terrorists are very dangerous.
It's basically like we seized weapons, we're putting them in some kind of holding.
Speaking of seizing weapons,
and they itemize everything. It's the military. You have to fill out a form to get something.
You need to fill out your requisitions in triplicate.
Yep.
Speaking of requisitioning weapons, the general got their last episode with a super special magic weapon, and the bad guys made off with it.
Yeah, the little penguin fairy who ends every sentence with "gee."
Gee? And then
I'm going back first, gee.
And he's like, are you going to come with me, gee? And Geese is like,
yeah, I can't use that teleporting potion, so just go without me.
I'm in a suit of magic Maho armor, so I can't do that. So looks like this is a one-way mission for me, little penguin buddy.
And then he gets killed he gets taken out of the suit by Asuka and starts slowly dying, and they bring in,
because it turns out he's just got like
he's a spine.
He is a torso with a spine and one arm.
Yeah. And then Chisato gets brought next to him, and then she's just like,
because Kurumi just fucking grabs her by one leg and drags her into the room. It's great.
And then he explains to her, oh, about all of your parents or your mom dying and all that, that was actually us.
We thought you had potential as a magic girl.
So we need to put you through a bunch of trauma.
So we remote control magicked the steering wheel and drove it into you. Sorry.
But he's like, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do now. Yeah. Good luck.
Lol. GG. Lol. Bye. And then he dies.
And then she gets all, like, broken because of it and kind of goes insane with laughter, and then she's going to get taken away to the torture dungeon.
Yeah. She's going to meet magical torture nurse, Kurumi.
Yeah.
And also the general lady is a fairy.
Yeah. That's her way to recover the damage, is she turns into a fairy for a little bit, and now all the other magical girls are fine with hugging her because she's a cute little fairy instead of this
weird, pervy, older woman.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tamara shows up at one point and saves Mia.
Yeah, and then it also saves the Asuka school best friends. And then they're just like, hey, these are the girls that saved my life.
Yeah, they saved my life. And then both the girls are like, ha! And I'm like...
And they're like, what a weird day. We must be like the most unlucky girls in Japan.
Yeah, what they always find themselves in the midst of chaos.
Because they are side characters in an edgy series.
Yeah.
Suffering awaits.
Yeah.
Suffering also awaits in Girly Air Force, potentially. I don't know. Unless everything solves itself really, like, comfortably.
I kind of think that, like, the last part of this episode was a little bit of a red herring, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, so they go for the operation to take back Shanghai.
Surprise, surprise, doesn't fucking work.
No, because it turns out they can hack the drones.
There are Z with such high EPCM radiation.
And they added a whole new type of Z that just are like aerial aircraft carriers that just have more Z fly out of them.
There's a lot of shit that goes on. Anyway, mission fail.
Mission failed.
Mission failed. Return to base.
Grippin!
Basically, it's not looking good for our boy and his robot plane girl.
Basically,
and
they
then
gotta
Rhino,
pull out of there.
Yeah, Rhino shows up and is like, "Hey, I rescued you from these guys, but we're bingo fuel, Grippin. We're bingo fuel."
And they escape, but they get really separated from the rest of the fleet. And the only place to land is in Shanghai.
So they land at this abandoned airport
in enemy territory. And then after, for some reason, I don't know why I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's like the Langoliers. And I'm like, I don't know why I thought it's like the Langoliers, the worst movie I could think of, or miniseries.
That is.
But it's a foggy airport and no one's there, but everything's like still functioning like people should be there.
Yeah, there's a weird kind of logic to it that it still kind of works.
Yeah, it's still like the Langoliers. Basically, so Girly Air Force was the Langoliers all along.
That was the special twist ending. We hope you enjoyed this season of Girly Air Force.
Yeah, but they end up like going around there and there's no fuel. And they're just kind of like, this is really weird.
This is weird.
And Grippin doesn't feel well.
Yeah, she's been feeling off this whole time. And Kay keeps hearing like this weird cracking sound.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know where that's coming from, but it unnerves me greatly. And I was like, I would be too.
And him and Rhino and Grippin all stay in a hotel room. And he has like almost a talk with Rhino where she's like, isn't this kind of nice? It's kind of like quiet and, you know. And I think this is like the Z. It's probably like the Z, this is their perfect world they're creating or something. And since the girls are made from Z parts, that's probably why Rhino like finds this place soothing.
Yeah, because the whole time, ever since Rhino has showed up, this series has been like, there's something weird about this Rhino girl, and now our main character is stuck with her. So, like, of course shit's gonna happen.
And then the next day he wakes up and he goes looking for her.
Because they were supposed to keep shifts, but apparently she's not very good at that.
And then he sees her in the hallway, but her head's down and like her hair's in front of her face, so we can't see her expression.
And her hood's up.
Yeah, and it just kind of ends there. So we're like, is it a red herring and she's actually fine, or is she like,
what's going on?
Place turned her evil.
Yeah, did she get turned evil? I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out next week.
We'll find out.
And we're finally coming to the end here. The last episode of The Price of Smiles. And I'll tell you what the price of smiles was. It was my fucking time.
Yeah, we got the good ending. Congratulations. We went through and we got the good ending of The Price of Smiles.
Everything, it was the good ending, so it doesn't get like the OP was misleading because it was depressing. But nope. In fact, I'll sum up the episode right now. So they shoot at each other for a little bit, and then Stella and Yuki push a button, and everything's fine. At the end, everything's good.
They push a button, and everything is fixed, except for blue hair Stella's mom that we knew was gonna die. She dies.
Yeah, and in fact, that scene was
literally no one else in this fight does.
Yeah. Also, that scene was like I expected more from it. It just was there, and now it's done.
I had a lot of questions about that part. Because, like, they're at the top of this big, long tower.
I guess Stella and her mom meet, but they kind of see each other for like a split second.
Stella points a gun at everyone, which I thought was kind of funny.
And then her mom sees her, and she like, huh? Like, last second, she's like, that looks like my daughter. But then the ceiling caves in, and she pushes her out of the way, and she gets crushed.
Yeah, because they're shooting at the tower because one of the twins is fighting the blue team, and they shoot up the tower a bunch, and it collapses on her, and she pushes Stella out of the way at the last minute because everything has to come full circle.
And I don't think she ever realizes that was her mom, but she's just like, hey, she's like, go help Yuki, she's a kid.
Stella's mom is like, my daughters, and then she dies.
I don't think she realized it, though.
I don't know.
She was more just
either.
like, why did that lady save me?
What a strange woman. I better go kill the princess now.
Or no, she's like, I'm going to go interrogate the princess and see if I'm going to kill her.
Yeah, and then she does that.
And then they go up there, and then she's like, hey, what are you trying to do? She's like, I'm trying to shut down all the MacGuffins in the world. That will end war.
I'm going to shut down everyone's weapons and take all their weapons away from them. I don't care if the world hates me.
And then she's like, that's naive. That's not going to work. People are still going to kill each other.
That is dumb and won't work, child.
And then she's like, but don't we have to at least try? And then she's like, yeah, you know, you got a point. We got to at least try.
I mean, I want this kid to call me a quitter.
And then they both decide to push the button together. And they push the button, and then a musical number starts where, like, the song... Rainbow goes everywhere, the song kicks in, and here's the thing. I thought this thing was going to blast them back to the Stone Age. It just makes the MacGuffin not work. They still got electricity. Shit still works.
Yeah. It's just literally all technology just shuts off.
And, yeah, it ends, basically.
I had a couple questions while they were doing this. I was like, one, what happens to the... This was pre-ending sequences. They were debating whether or not to push the button.
The show, it builds up to this point. They push the button, and then lightning sprint to the ending. It's just like, okay, it's about to end. Play the credits, resolve everything within the credits, just blah, blah, blah.
And here's our after scene. But, like, I was wondering, as they were going to push the button, they're not really thinking about this all that much. What happens to the people in the mech suits? Because I would assume those doors are powered, and at the time I didn't know that they would just pop open. So I was like,
I guess they just knew it.
If the mechs shut down and the doors don't open, all those people are gonna die.
I'm assuming there must be like a manual like thing to open it.
I don't know. Based on the technological competence of a lot of these people so far, I'm not willing to put my money behind that theory.
That's true. But yeah, so it has both of them press the button, and then the rainbow goes over the world and fixes everything while the insert song plays, and then they're both just kind of left lying on the top of the tower looking up, and then boom, it goes to the credits play, and then right after the credits you have like 2 minutes of them trying to wrap up everything of like, yep, so everything's good now, the Empire and the Kingdom made a truce.
There's an armistice.
Yep, they're going to look at like pre-MacGuffin technology.
Everyone's reading notes on paper.
I guess Huey joined the police force because there's still problems in the world, but we're working on them.
And Huey's an asshole, so of course he joined the police.
And then Lily is running the orphanage that the old commander used to work at.
Stella also kind of works there, but she's been court-martialed.
But then Yuki put in some word for her, which helped her out. And then
now she just does community service with the cops.
And then the two of them saw each other, and then they both smiled at each other. And then the narration's like, "This is the story of two girls." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're done."
Yeah, because everyone else fucking died.
Yeah, and. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it turns out shutting off all of the MacGuffins makes crops grow now.
Because the MacGuffins made it so they didn't grow, I guess. I don't know. I guess. Everything just... Yeah.
I was
very disappointed with this ending. I feel like it didn't... Like, it just rushes through the ending. It's just like, everything's resolved. This is fine. It's all good.
This is not the ending I wanted, but it's kind of the ending I expected.
Yeah.
I want to know how they got off the tower.
They like the OP builds up the moment of them two meeting as like this big thing, but it's just not.
They just kind of meet and they're like, "What the fuck?"
I think they just took the elevator back down.
I don't know, because if...
It's not powered by MacGuffin, though, because this is the
Is
country
it?
where they hate MacGuffins. Remember? They built this thing specifically to shut off MacGuffins. Why would they make it so their elevator, to stop all the MacGuffins in the world, can't go back down?
I don't know. They didn't really seem to plan for dying either. Actually, I don't think we ever learn what happens to them. It's just
No.
kind of like, oh, they're the old empire. I guess they just kind of fucked off.
Yeah. Price of Smiles, that ending was...
It was disappointing.
I feel like that brings down the overall, like, show. Like, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody to watch, because I'm like, hey, do you want to see, like, it to be just kind of a bummer where everyone dies every other episode and then you don't get a satisfactory conclusion?
Yeah, that's true. Because it is a straight bummer through the whole series.
And at the end, they push the "it's okay now" button.
They push the button that makes everything okay.
And
they
they've
push
been-
the smiles button.
And we've been building up the meeting of both Yuki and Stella for, like, so long, I feel like, and it was just...
It wasn't anything.
It wasn't anything.
I think...
They have one quick conversation, push the button together, and then at the end, they just like, hey, what's up, smile.
I think I would have preferred if they, like...
Stella Shining.
Ugh. I actually forgot that was her name.
Yeah.
So when she said it out loud, I was like, ugh. Fucking ugh. I feel like I would have liked it... Or I feel like one thing that would have improved it is if Stella knew that the other woman was her mom, and she was pissed at Yuki for being like, you fucking took my mom, so I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Yeah, or
But they
just
didn't do
anything with that scene, because I feel like the scene with the
Dude.
mom just didn't have any impact or weight.
Do a thing with it.
Yeah.
Like, have her recognize, like, holy crap, this older woman, she looks almost exactly like me. We have the same birthmark. Oh my god, I just met my mom, and now she's crushed by rubble, and I pointed a gun at her. Oh no!
And a lot of things that just didn't matter, where he gives her back, like, hey, this is your good luck charm thing. I thought that would
And
come
the-
into play, and then she loses it again
She
immediately.
immediately fucking drops it in the ocean.
And I'm like, at first I'm thinking, is that like a, maybe Stella's gonna die because she lost that, and that's her good luck? No, it doesn't matter.
No. I thought that would be the thing
That's
where...
that's a big, I can see that as a big theme for this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
The
There's
price,
a
of,
lo-
the price of smiles, it doesn't matter.
I feel like that's a... You know, I would say that is the exact opposite of the Rising of the Shield Hero. Because with Shield Hero, it fucking matters. Like, the small details, they matter.
Yeah,
You
they come
hear-
back around.
You hear about stuff, and then it comes around, and stuff that you don't think would have an impact does have an impact. Shit matters. Not in this.
Yeah.
In this, it doesn't really matter.
I felt like, too, with this show, we were starting to, like, decline around the halfway point anyway.
Yeah, but I really wanted to see how it ended. Because at that point, I was like, what's it going to do?
Yeah.
So now you know what it does, so you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, you don't have to watch The Price of Smiles. You're welcome.
We sift through the garbage, so you don't have to.
Yep, and it's going back in our dumpster.
You know,
It can get piled up in a corner with other mecha that just have disappointing endings. It can go
All
right
of
next
them.
to Adel Noah Zero.
yeah. Ugh. You know what? I'm thinking we cut The Price of Smiles. I'm thinking it's
Yeah.
about this time we gotta cut it.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna watch it next week.
No, I
Yeah.
think we're done.
I think we are done.
Oh, episode 12's next week. How exciting.
Yeah, or 13s for some.
Or 13's for a couple.
And for JoJo, it's like, what, fucking 40-something?
Yeah, JoJo's out there. Oh, but if you liked listening to us ramble on and on about anime that can be happy,
Can be.
can be,
Doesn't always have to be.
doesn't always have to be a bummer.
Just like us, we don't always have to be a bummer.
We don't. It happened this week. Feel free to like the video and subscribe to our channel.
Ring that bell!
Ring that bell. You'll get all kinds of notifications when our videos go up.
And that's probably it, because I don't
And
think
that's it.
I don't think they're gonna notify anything else.
No, there's nothing else to notify.
Or check out our Twitter at Protagonist.
That is also another place where you will be notified of our videos being uploaded.
And sometimes other stuff.
And sometimes other things.
And if you stick around, maybe you'll see us with we're going to be getting ready for the next season, the spring season.
Spring.
We got like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we got to pick a whole bunch of new shows. We got to pick 8 because JoJo and The Rising of the Shield Hero are sticking around.
Yeah, because we like those shows. They're very good.
But everything else, we're going to miss you.
Yeah.
Miss you guys.
And don't forget, watch our awards ceremonies episode. We'll give you a little more warning for that one.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have structure this time for it.
Maybe. Probably not.
Probably not.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Thanks for sticking around.